The air was heavy with anticipation and the metallic tang of nervous sweat. Ambassador Sila Mirik, the first human diplomat to the Intergalactic Council, stood silently in the Grand Assembly Hall of the Council's headquarters. Her presence alone was a testament to humanity's recent advances and their newly earned seat among the star's ancient civilizations. However, not all members of the Council welcomed humanity with open arms. Ambassador Mirik was to deliver a speech that could cement human relations with the galaxy's myriad species. But as she ascended the podium, a shadowy figure lurked in the back, his features obscured by the dim light and a hood. His name was Varkos, a member of the Shadari sect, whose radical beliefs had led them to view the burgeoning diplomacy with humans as a direct threat to the galactic balance. As Mirik began her address, her voice echoing through the hall with words of peace and cooperation, Varkos's hand gripped the handle of a concealed energy blade. His mission was clear, instigated by a deep-seated belief that the ambassador's assassination would derail human integration and maintain the purity of interstellar relations. "The path of unity is fraught with challenges," Mirik stated, her eyes scanning the crowd of diverse beings. "Yet it is a path we must walk together. Through cooperation we can—" She was cut off mid-sentence as a sharp siren suddenly blared. The hall erupted into chaos. Varkos seized his chance, activating his blade as he surged forward. Security forces, prepared for such an eventuality, intercepted him mere meters from the ambassador. A fierce struggle ensued, blaster shots lighting up the shadows. Mirik was rushed off the stage by her security team, her heart pounding not just with fear, but with the burden of what had almost occurred. The attempt on her life was more than just a physical attack. It was an ideological statement, a signal that not everyone in the galaxy was ready for change. As Varkos was subdued and detained, the hall slowly regained order. The ambassador, shaken but resolute, returned to the podium. "Let this incident be a testament," she continued, her voice steady but forceful, "not to the divisions that seek to tear us apart, but to our shared commitment to dialogue and understanding. We will not be deterred by fear." Her words resonated through the assembly, turning a near-tragic event into a powerful call for unity. Yet in the darker corners of the galaxy, others like Varkos watched and plotted. The assassination attempt had failed, but the seeds of discord had been sown. The question now loomed large. Was the integration of humanity into the galactic community a herald of peace, or was it the spark that would ignite a larger conflict? As the assembly adjourned, the ambassadors and delegates whispered among themselves, their voices a mixture of admiration, fear, and suspicion. Ambassador Mirik retreated to her quarters, the weight of her position heavier than ever. Tomorrow she would need to navigate the political aftermath of the assassination attempt, seeking allies in a galaxy where trust was as rare as a peaceful planet. As the stars outside her window shimmered with indifferent light, she pondered the fragile thread of diplomacy. The road ahead was uncertain, and every step was fraught with peril. But it was a path she had chosen, a path she must walk with eyes wide open, ready for whatever lay ahead. In the cold void of space, the silence was profound, broken only by the hum of spacecraft engines and the occasional chatter of communication systems. Ambassador Mirik's return to her quarters had not gone unnoticed. Across the galaxy, factions and individuals processed the news of the failed assassination attempt with varying degrees of concern and intrigue. On a distant barren world shrouded in mist and darkness, a council of the Shadari sect convened in secret. The chamber was stark, lit only by the faint glow of bioluminescent flora that clung to the ancient stone walls. Varkos's mentor, Elder Zern, presided over the meeting, his voice low and filled with a simmering fury. "The human remains unharmed," Zern announced, his words echoing ominously through the chamber. "This failure exposes our cause to jeopardy." Around him, cloaked figures shifted restlessly. The room was filled with the elite of the sect, each member selected for their devotion and their willingness to act against what they perceived as threats to the galactic order. But perhaps, a younger member, Kalia, suggested, this event can still serve our purpose. The fear it instigated among the other species might yet turn them against the humans. Elder Zern considered this, his aged face creased with thought. True, fear is a potent ally. However, we must act swiftly to capitalize on this sentiment before it fades. The decision was made. They would not rely solely on fear. They needed a more compelling display of the dangers posed by human integration. The sect would strike again, but this time, their plan would need to be flawless. Meanwhile, Ambassador Mirek was more determined than ever to strengthen her alliances. The recent attempt on her life had sparked a newfound urgency in her diplomatic efforts. She arranged a series of clandestine meetings with various alien representatives, seeking to forge bonds of mutual protection and benefit. Her first meeting took place on her own ship, the Diplomatic Endeavor, designed as a neutral ground for discussions. Her guest was Thalric, an ambassador from the Zifiri Confederation, a coalition known for their advanced technology and strategic acumen. Thalric was reptilian, with scales that shimmered like starlight and eyes that held millennia of wisdom. "Ambassador Mirek," he greeted, his voice a sibilant hiss. "Your survival speaks of your species' resilience. We are most intrigued." Mirek nodded, aware of the importance of this alliance. "Ambassador Thalric, in these times our resilience must be matched by our unity. I propose a pact of mutual defense and information sharing. Together, we can prevent such incidents and promote stability." Thalric's tongue flickered in contemplation. "A prudent proposal. But understand, our support comes at a cost. We seek assurances that human advancements will not outpace the agreed terms of technological exchange." As they negotiated into the night, across the galaxy, the Shadari sect prepared their next move. Their agents, skilled in espionage and sabotage, were dispatched to key locations, their orders clear and their resolve unwavering. Back on the Diplomatic Endeavor, Mirek and Thalric reached an accord. The Zifiri would support human efforts in the Council, and in return, humans would share their technological advancements under strict guidelines. As the agreement was sealed, both ambassadors were unaware of the silent threat creeping closer, weaving a web of deceit and danger that could unravel everything they hoped to achieve. The galaxy watched and waited, its future hanging in a delicate balance as powers moved in the darkness. In the labyrinthine corridors of the Diplomatic Endeavor, security measures were discreetly intensified. Ambassador Mirek, aware of the delicate threads upon which her life dangled, pushed forward with her diplomatic initiatives, her resolve as firm as ever. The ship buzzed with the activity of aides and advisors, each member acutely aware that the stakes had never been higher. Simultaneously, across different sectors of the galaxy, the Shadari sect's agents moved with stealth and precision. Their target was not merely the human ambassador, but the very fabric of the fragile peace she hoped to weave. One such agent, Soran, was tasked with infiltrating the central data hub of the Intergalactic Council. His mission was to sow discord by discreetly altering the communications between member species, a digital whisper campaign designed to inflame old rivalries and spark new ones. Back on the Diplomatic Endeavor, Ambassador Mirek convened a secret meeting with representatives from the Arcturian Empire and the Nebulon clusters, both pivotal in the Council and both with their own reservations about the rapid rise of humanity. The room was dimly lit, the stars outside casting long shadows across the faces of the delegates. "Friends," Mirek began, her voice steady, "the recent attack was not just an assault on me or on humanity. It was an assault on the principles that bring us together here among the stars. We must stand united, not just for our own sake, but for the galaxy at large." The Arcturian delegate, a being composed of swirling gases and shimmering lights, expressed its concerns through a translator device. "We understand the gravity of these events, Ambassador. However, trust must be earned, and your species is still new to these realms." Mirek nodded, expecting this level of caution. "Indeed, we are new, and we are eager to earn that trust through actions, not just words. Let us consider a joint task force, one that could serve as a model of cooperation and a practical means of securing our common interests." As they deliberated, Soran executed his part of the sect's plan flawlessly. The data he manipulated would later cause a cascade of misunderstandings and false accusations among the council members, each expertly crafted to appear as breaches of protocol and secretive deals. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to all, another plot was unfolding deep within the engine room of the diplomatic Endeavor. Another Shadari agent had infiltrated the crew and was moments away from crippling the ship's propulsion systems. The goal was chaos and vulnerability, creating an opening for a more direct and final strike against the ambassador. The meeting concluded with tentative agreements and promises of further discussions. Mirik felt a slight ease in the tension, but her instincts warned her that the danger was far from over. As the delegates dispersed, she turned to her chief of security, a seasoned veteran of interstellar conflicts. "Keep a vigilant watch," she instructed, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "I fear this is the calm before a storm we cannot yet see." Her intuition proved prescient. Moments later, alarms blared throughout the ship, the lights flickered, and the gravity stabilizers faltered. Chaos erupted as the crew scrambled to regain control of the ship, now adrift and vulnerable in the cold, unyielding expanse of space. In the ensuing pandemonium, Mirik remained a beacon of calm, directing her team with precision. Yet, in the shadows cast by flickering lights, the true danger approached, silent and deadly, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the diplomatic Endeavor drifted helplessly, the panic within its hull was palpable. The sabotage had been expertly executed, leaving the ship's systems crippled and its occupants at the mercy of the void. In the chaos, Ambassador Mirik's security team moved swiftly, forming a protective circle around her as they escorted her to the emergency command center. Outside the ship, cloaked in the anonymity of space, a Shadari vessel lurked, watching the unfolding disaster with cold detachment. The pilot, a seasoned saboteur named Lyras, monitored the Endeavor's failing systems, waiting for the signal to launch the final phase of their plan. His mission was clear: ensure that Ambassador Mirik did not survive the day. Inside the ship, amidst the blaring alarms and the rushing crew, Mirik's calm demeanor provided a stark contrast. She worked alongside her chief engineer, attempting to manually override the sabotaged systems. "We need to get communications back online," she insisted, her fingers flying over the controls with surprising adeptness. Meanwhile, Lyras received the go-ahead from his superiors. He maneuvered his vessel closer to the disabled Endeavor, preparing to deploy a small boarding party. The Shadari agents, armed and ruthless, readied themselves for a silent invasion, their weapons charged with deadly energy. Back on the Endeavor, as Mirik and her team managed to partially restore power, the ship's sensors abruptly picked up the approaching Shadari vessel. The security chief, instantly alert to the new threat, coordinated with his team to fortify the entry points. "Prepare for close-quarters combat," he barked into his communicator. "This isn't over yet." As the Shadari boarding party breached the hull, the corridors of the Endeavor became a battleground. Blaster fire echoed off the metal walls, and the air was filled with the sharp scent of ionized particles. Mirik, though no soldier, held her own, using her diplomatic acumen to anticipate her attackers' movements, dodging energy blasts with a grace born of desperation. In the heat of the battle, Lyras made a critical decision. Seeing the fierce resistance, he realized that capturing the ambassador might no longer be feasible. He switched objectives. Now, he would settle for ensuring that the diplomatic Endeavor and all its secrets would be destroyed. He primed his ship's heavier weapons, targeting the already vulnerable engines of the human vessel. As the situation grew dire, a twist of fate intervened. The Zephyri Confederation, having monitored the distress signals emanating from Mirik's ship, decided to act. Viewing their recent pact with humanity as a binding contract, they dispatched a fleet, which arrived just as Lyras was about to fire. The arrival of the Zephyri ships changed the dynamics drastically. Caught off guard, Lyras found his vessel now outgunned and outnumbered. The Zephyri commander hailed the Endeavor, offering immediate assistance. "Ambassador Mirik, we are here to honor our commitment. Stand down, and we will handle this." With the tables turned, the Shadari agents aboard the Endeavor were quickly subdued, and Lyras was forced to retreat, his mission a failure. The ship was secured, and as the Zephyri began repairs, Mirik met with their commander, her expression one of relief mixed with indomitable resolve. "Thank you," she said, her voice steady despite the day's ordeals. "Your timely arrival not only saved my ship but also strengthened the bond between our species." As the diplomatic endeavor was towed to safety by the Zifari fleet, Mirek looked out at the stars, realizing the galaxy was full of dangers, but also allies. For every shadow that sought to engulf her, there was a beacon of light ready to cut through the darkness. Her mission was far from over, and her resolve was only strengthened by the day's events. After the harrowing events aboard the diplomatic endeavor, the landscape of galactic politics shifted perceptibly. The attack and subsequent rescue had been broadcasted across countless systems, turning Ambassador Mirek into a symbol of resilience and a rallying point for those advocating for deeper interstellar cooperation. As the ship underwent repairs under the watchful eyes of the Zifari engineers, Mirek held a series of high-profile virtual meetings from her temporary quarters aboard a Zifari command ship. Her goal was clear: leverage the recent crisis to forge stronger, more resilient alliances against the shadowy threats looming over the galaxy. Among her most critical meetings was with the Saldari Union, a collective whose enigmatic leaders had historically remained neutral in galactic disputes. The Union's support would not only bolster the Council's defense, but also lend a significant political weight to Mirek's initiatives. "Saldari Elders," Mirek began, her image flickering slightly on the holoscreen. "The recent attempt on my life is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace. We face a common enemy, one that thrives in the chaos of division." The Saldari, beings of fluid form and thought, responded with a cautious tone. "Ambassador, your survival speaks of fortitude, yet we ponder the wisdom of forming pacts hastily. Our way is to observe and reflect." Mirek acknowledged their concerns with a nod. "Reflection is wise, but action is necessary. I propose a joint surveillance initiative using both our technologies to monitor suspicious activities across the sectors. This isn't just about protection, it's about deterrence." As negotiations continued, whispers of the Shadari sect's failures reached their hidden sanctuaries. Elder Zern, his face a mask of frustration, convened another secret gathering. "Our strategies must evolve," he declared, his voice a low growl of urgency. "We underestimated the human and her allies. This cannot happen again." Plans were quickly put into motion to infiltrate various strategic installations, not with brute force, but through cyber warfare and espionage. The sect's hackers, a group of highly skilled operatives, began their work, targeting the communication networks of the Intergalactic Council to inject divisive misinformation, aiming to erode the trust Mirek worked hard to build. Back in her meetings, Mirek secured a tentative agreement from the Saldari Union, who agreed to observe the proposed joint operations before fully committing. This was a minor victory, but a crucial one, as it provided an opening to demonstrate the benefits of collective security. With the Saldari on board as observers, Mirek next turned her attention to solidifying her pact with the Zifari. Their unexpected intervention had saved her ship and crew, and now she sought to transform this act of goodwill into a formal alliance. The Zifari, impressed by her tenacity and clear vision, were more receptive than ever. "The bonds we form today," Mirek addressed the Zifari Council via transmission, "will light our way through the darkest times. Let us be the bearers of that light, together." As alliances slowly formed and the galaxy watched, the Shadari hackers made a critical breakthrough, accessing the personal communications of several key ambassadors. They planted seeds of doubt and suspicion, hoping to unravel the fragile web of trust, just as it began to strengthen. Mirek, however, remained a step ahead, aware of the potential for sabotage. She implemented stringent security protocols and initiated counterintelligence measures, preparing for what she knew would be a long and complex game of galactic chess. Each move was calculated, each alliance a shield against the looming threat of division. The stage was set, the players ready, and as the galaxy spun silently in the void, the next moves would determine the fate of not just humanity, but of all civilizations striving for a semblance of peace. The tensions across the galaxy were tangible, like electric charges seeking release. Ambassador Mirek, now deeply entrenched in the web of interstellar diplomacy, faced her most daunting task yet: to host a summit that would bring together the leaders of all major galactic powers on a neutral world known for its impenetrable security and ancient, unbiased hosts, the Valerii. As the date of the summit approached, the diplomatic endeavor, fully repaired and upgraded with the latest defensive technologies provided by the Zifiri, served as Mirik's mobile command center. She spent long hours strategizing with her advisors, each aware that the outcome of this summit could either forge a new era of cooperation or plunge the galaxy into a conflict of unprecedented scale. The Shadari sect, under Elder Zern's fervent leadership, accelerated their efforts to disrupt the summit. Using the hacked communications, they crafted perfect replicas of messages from Mirik to various leaders, each containing subtle provocations and misinformation designed to sow discord among the attending parties. Unbeknownst to the Shadari, Mirik had anticipated such moves. Working closely with the Saldari observers, she had set up a sophisticated counter-surveillance network, which quickly flagged the anomalous communications as suspect. A rapid response team, consisting of cyber specialists from multiple allied species, traced the intrusions back to their source, providing Mirik with the evidence she needed to expose the Shadari at the summit. As the leaders gathered, the summit's venue, a colossal ancient structure on Valeria, carved out of a single mountain, was a fortress of peace. The Valerii, beings of pure energy and thought, had created an environment where weapons and hostility were suppressed by powerful fields, ensuring that dialogue could proceed without fear of violence. Mirik opened the summit with a call for unity, but was quickly challenged by a delegate who had received one of the forged messages. Standing calmly at the central podium, she revealed the Shadari's attempts to manipulate them all, displaying the intercepted communications and the evidence of their origin. "The threats we face are not from each other," Mirik declared, her voice echoing in the vast hall. "The true enemy lies in those who would use deceit and fear to keep us divided." The revelation stunned the assembly. Leaders whispered among themselves, the impact of her words visible in their expressions. Slowly, the tide of suspicion turned to one of cautious solidarity. The Shadari's ploy had backfired, serving only to demonstrate the very dangers Mirik had warned against. The summit concluded with the signing of the Valeria Accord, a comprehensive treaty of cooperation, defense, and technological exchange, crafted to withstand the tests of time and subterfuge. Mirik's role as the architect of this new alliance elevated her status not just among humans, but across the galaxy. In the wake of the summit, the Shadari sect found themselves increasingly marginalized. Exposed and condemned, they retreated into the darker corners of the galaxy, their influence waning but not entirely extinguished. Elder Zern, in a rare moment of reflection, understood that their methods must change if their beliefs were to survive. Ambassador Mirik returned to Earth, her mission a resounding success. However, she knew that peace was a continuous effort, not a static achievement. She prepared to engage in the next phase of her work, promoting the implementation of the Accord and ensuring that the newfound unity could endure the inevitable challenges ahead. As the galaxy moved forward, the stars seemed a little less distant, the future a bit brighter, with the promise of peace shimmering on the horizon, a testament to the power of diplomacy and the enduring strength of unity.